The story of Naruto Uzumaki is legendary. An orphaned boy who by sheer willpower and desire to be noticed goes from being a hyperactive knucklehead to a hero. I love this show. I was one of those kids who ran down the hallway with my hands behind my back, but in every video and discussion surrounding it, I haven't seen anyone address this colossal elephant in the room. Why did they forgive Sasuke? Or I guess, is it a sensible writing choice for him to be forgiven? I understand he cries and he says that he lost. It's actually one of my favorite scenes in the whole show because he's actually sorry. And honestly, I ascertained that if the adults in the Hidden Leaf were better, he could probably be an entirely different man. Those are things that he can't change, but his choices are things that he can. And some things you need more than an apology to fix. Before you click off the video, give me some time to explain myself. For me to make my point, we're gonna have to take things back a little bit and see his why. Masashi Kishimoto is not shy in showing Sasuke's trauma in part 1. In fact, if I could use any word to describe Sasuke, it would be victim. It's pretty clear that after the Uchiha clan massacre, he struggles with some sort of emotional disorder. Negative thoughts about himself or others, ongoing negative emotions, feelings of social isolation, and a difficulty feeling positive emotions. These are all cognitive and mood symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder. We see this from the beginning of the show all the way to the end. When he gets put into Team 7, he's forced to be with others. That gets in the way of attaining his ultimate goal, killing his brother Itachi. Insert Naruto Uzumaki. For the first time in either of their lives, they have people who encourage them to be better, not to bring them down. But there's still a power dynamic at play. Sasuke is the best in his year. He has to be. If he's not, then he can't fulfill that goal. In fact, he's directly told that Team 7 was organized because Sasuke was the best in their year, Naruto's the worst, and Sakura's mid. Their friendship grows in as much as their rivalry does. The more time Team 7 is together, the more he begins to change. The more he begins to heal. Enter the Chunin exams. Orochimaru's attack on his senses is the first major obstacle. The cursed mark actively corrodes Sasuke's mind. Kakashi places a seal on it with the effectiveness relying on Sasuke making a conscious choice to not use the curse mark. Unbeknownst to anyone, while Sasuke is training with their sensei, Naruto is training with a Sannin Jiraiya. The next time he interacts with Naruto is after the Neji fight, when the Hidden Sand village attacks. Sasuke figures he can protect the village and handle business. The only issue with that is he's not that guy. Naruto is. When he wakes up, the threat is neutralized, but one thought in his mind, when did Naruto get so strong? It's around this time Sasuke is at his best, not physically, but definitely emotionally. Time passes, and it's during the search for Tsunade arc that he has his biggest choke point. After years away from the village, Itachi Uchiha returns. Sasuke finds out, and it's obvious what has to happen next. Itachi returned to finish what he started. Except, Itachi didn't come to the village for that. In fact, he didn't even come to the village for Sasuke. He came to the village for Naruto, the hyperactive, knuckle-headed ninja. Sasuke charges his strongest attack and ends up losing all of his aura. He had bro hitting that subscribe to the channel shuffle. Hey man, I gotta pay the bills. And then the unthinkable happens. Itachi places Sasuke into his Tsukuyomi, where he forces him to relive the brutal murder of his parents on repeat for 72 hours. Guys, I understand the whole plot twist with Itachi and him being a good guy and he was trying to help him unlock his Mangekyo. I'm gonna be honest, I might be a little bit crazy. What was that part necessary? When Sasuke wakes up in the hospital, he is not the same. I'm a dub watcher, but I feel like this line in the sub really illustrates what's going on in his head then. All this time he could have spent getting ready to kill Itachi was spent getting passed by the loser. These thoughts turn to insecurities. These insecurities turn into resentment. This resentment turns into rage, and he only has one outlet, Naruto. The search for Tsunade arc was a defining moment for Naruto, but a destroying moment for Sasuke. So now he has a conflict. Does he remain with his friends and leave the past in the past, or does he give in to the cursed seal and avenge his clan? He makes his choice, and he goes with Orochimaru. This is where his villain arc begins exactly. Sasuke becomes a rogue ninja and kills his best friend Naruto. I use the term kill because it's important to note Sasuke was convinced he had killed Naruto here. In fact, he did. If he didn't have the Nine Tails to heal him, Naruto's story would have probably ended there. At this point, I hope I've been able to paint a larger picture for you on why Sasuke is the way he is. Now the question is, does all of this justify this? Because honestly, in Shippuden, Sasuke is a complete psychopath. The curse mark is stronger, and so is Orochimaru's mental pull on Sasuke and Itachi's emotional pull on him. He is completely shut off. Those symptoms of PTSD we talked about earlier are multiplied. Not only is he a rogue ninja now, but he's also sided with Orochimaru, which by default makes Sasuke one of the most wanted ninjas on Earth, minus the Akatsuki, which he then becomes a part of. But nearly everything he does in part 2 is heinous, and it has to be taken seriously. In the first arc, he attempts to kill Naruto, Sakura, Sai, and Yamato with the Kirin, literally just because he could. Orochimaru had the whole bro back like, hey dog, they good, bro, they good. He had him like, that's my dog. I'm not gonna lie to y'all, it took me a second to edit this. Y'all definitely gonna see this again. And it only progresses from there. On his quest for vengeance, Sasuke does some pretty big things. Obviously, there would be an argument that these are things he has to do in his quest to fight Itachi. The issue with that is it's after he kills Itachi that he gets even worse. Trying to kill the Jinchuriki of the Nine Tails is already pretty bad, but when you add that on top of joining Orochimaru, he then vows to destroy the Hidden Leaf Village and joins the Akatsuki. Would the Hidden Leaf Village just forget that he basically pulled up to a United Nations meeting and started licking off shots? Okay, Tsunade might forgive him, but what about the other 4 nations? You mean to tell me there weren't any protests in other villages when Orochimaru's prodigy, an Akatsuki member, attempts to assassinate their country's leader and veto to have the world stay in the infinite Tsukiyomi, and he's just big chilling? You mean to tell me nobody thinks this is weird? The Raikage loses his arm and Naruto hits him with the I just lost my dog. I told you you're gonna see it again. It's especially bizarre writing because if I'm being honest, Sasuke doesn't earn his forgiveness. Naruto does for him. The entirety of Shippuden, Sasuke hurts people and acts as an obstacle against the 4th Great Ninja War. There's no point where he shows even the slightest bit of remorse for these heinous global crimes. His decision to change after the final fight isn't spurred on by his own conscious decision, but Naruto's self-imposed responsibility. He hit him with the Thanos v Hulk Wombo combo and everything's just good after that. You cool with that, Spider-Man? I think it's a little bit unrealistic to think that everyone in the Hidden Leaf Village would welcome the rogue ninja who joined Orochimaru, the Akatsuki, vowed to destroy the Hidden Leaf Village, tries to kill 2 Jinchuriki several times, threatening to activate the 10 Tails, refused to release the infinite Tsukiyomi, and attempted to assassinate the world's most prominent leaders twice. It feels like bad writing to think everyone in the world would just be cool after that. I definitely think it's even worse writing to think that the people who were personally impacted by his actions forgave him as if nothing happened. I mean, he attempts to murder Karin and she's Blue. This y'all ship? Let's say even if it were to take shape in some slight discomfort when he comes back, it would make way more sense than what we got. Naruto and Sakura pretend as though the year they were on Team 7 together makes his later cruel and heinous actions completely okay. He's got no social repercussions, no moral repercussions. It's like he never went rogue in the first place. The only way I think it makes sense that Sasuke even gets tentatively re-welcomed into society is if they cover up everything he's done. Which, if you watch Boruto, that's exactly what they do. That's really bad. They don't even tell Sasuke's daughter anything about him other than he's on a mission. That's the lamest excuse. They really have bro like I'm getting the milk shotty, I'm in another dimension. That fella's not coming back. Just like you if you don't like the video. Okay, that was the last one. The major issue with this isn't even on the whole point of Sasuke being forgiven. It's more so the fact that they make it a really clear point that he regresses and declines, and progressively gets worse with zero signs of remorse, only to flip his entire worldview immediately after losing a band for band. Which leads me into the last portion of the video. There's a contrast with Sasuke's character. It feels like on the one hand, Kishimoto wanted him to be an anti-hero on the chaotic side, then on the other, they show that he's too far gone, someone who only uses others to fulfill his wishes and desires. I agree, watching part 1, it's sad seeing everything he goes through as a child, but how long do we see him as a victim until he can take accountability for his own actions? I genuinely cannot see a contingency where the Leaf is comfortable with Sasuke Uchiha returning, not with how things are set up. Even if he's not charged, am I crazy in thinking the village wouldn't forgive Sasuke? That maybe he's just a little too far gone? Narratively speaking, here are a few ideas that I think could make a little bit more sense. Ending 1. Sasuke dies. Hear me out. Going from start to finish, Sasuke has a progressively negative character arc. The way it's written, his story isn't about redemption, it's about revenge. He only gets worse and worse over the course of the show with a severe narrative whiplash at the end. If I were to make a visual, his character arc looks a little bit like this. But what if he dies at the end? I'm not making the argument that Naruto kills him because I think that would ruin his character. But what if after the fight it doesn't end so sweetly? What if Sasuke after losing realizes he's too far gone? He doesn't think he can be forgiven. He doesn't think he can forgive himself. And despite what those around him tell him, he can't forget the past. And remembering the events of the story, Sasuke lays on the ground surrounded by the people who loved him the most and says, "The cycle of violence ends today. The war and the show are sealed in his blood. He dies." In this ending, Naruto would learn what it really means to be Hokage. The reason he still chooses to become the Hokage is to prevent other kids from going down the path of Sasuke Uchiha. It could lead into an obsession, which would work well with the character arc of learning how to be a dad in Boruto. He spent so long trying to prevent the upcoming generation from falling by the wayside, he can't even see that he's neglecting the ones closest to him. It would also set up the social progression in Boruto more as well. The foster care system they have, the updated ninja academy, ninjas in general being more future facing than past defining. I think a lot of the series makes more sense if Sasuke Uchiha goes like Killmonger from Black Panther. Ending 2. Let's say Sasuke doesn't die. Let's say he survives, is healed, everything happens the way it does, basically up until Boruto. Except in this contingency, rather than embarking on some story of self-discovery, he's forced to confront his past. He goes. He helps people. He does anything he can to make the things he did wrong right. Like Zuko in the Last Airbender comics. Even if he can never forgive himself, he can try to leave places better than he found it. People would be uncomfortable, awkward, and even afraid. It would give both Sasuke as well as the audience a chance to see the world around him negatively react to his presence. In this ending, it would take the narrative of the show full circle. He would be ostracized just like Naruto at the beginning, and just like Naruto, he would have to move beyond that and become who he needs to be, regardless of what others think of him, ultimately changing his bloodied reputation and the history of the Uchihas for the better. I feel like in this contingency, them rewriting history or erasing it altogether makes a little bit more sense as well. I also feel like it makes more sense for he and Sakura to get married in this scenario. In its current state, their romance is literally an unrequited schoolgirl crush turned into an obsession and a child that he doesn't take care of for years. In this ending, he would have to earn his redemption in more personal ways than just fighting kaiju. In fact, he wouldn't just earn redemption, he would learn redemption. Yeah. Ending 2B. Essentially the same as the last one, except Sasuke gets arrested for his crimes. Simple as that. He doesn't evade justice. I understand the argument that he's too strong for any ninja to detain him, but I feel like if you really want to prove that his redemption is his choice, I think him choosing to accept the consequences of his actions would work toward his redemption. And finally, what if Sasuke and Naruto don't have the final fight? After everything happens, he gets hit with a Talk no Jutsu, and he just leaves. The Leaf has discriminated against the Uchiha for decades, and he won't forgive them for that. But that doesn't mean he has to destroy them. He goes the lone wanderer route, a ninja with no name. He's no longer haunted by those ghosts. He just leaves. Being entirely honest, I'm actually glad Sasuke was forgiven. After having to watch a lot of Naruto for this video, the part 1 episodes especially, it really made me realize just how much this kid was subjected to. While I may not think it makes the most sense that we got this happily ever after ending, I'm still glad that we did. But ultimately, as the story is written out, it just doesn't make much sense to me that Sasuke is where he is. The change is just too drastic. He's too far gone. But am I crazy? What do you guys think? It's interesting because for all of its faults, Boruto actually remedies a few of these social issues. For one, they actually have a foster care system now. Surely they would put someone trustworthy and nurturing as the caretaker, like Lady Tsu.
You what?